Hi guys, in this video I'm gonna be showing how I paint lips, and at first I want to tell you a little bit about the form and anatomy of the lips. Here's a couple of sketches that I did to show the general structure. This is sort of a step-by-step breakdown of the lips drawing. The most distinctive features of the lips that you need to know in order to draw or paint them correctly are, in most cases, the lower lip is somewhat fuller and larger than the upper lip, and the upper lip sticks out more. It's like pulled more outward. You can see that especially well on the side view here. The upper lip may be divided into two wings. The distinctiveness of this bump right here, the rounded form in the middle of the top lip, varies from person to person, and in some cases it's gonna be barely visible. Speaking of the lower lip, it can be broken down into two spherical shapes to establish that curvy form that lips have. I'm not gonna talk too much about the structure, but I encourage you to look into it more closely. And I put the link to the sketches in the description just because I feel like they might be helpful. Now, as always, I'm gonna show a little bit of how I prepare the color palette. I use a limited palette which consists of these 5 colors. I talk a lot about color mixing in other videos on this channel, but to briefly explain what I do here, I pre-mix some groups of colors from the dark values to the light. These are the colors I'm gonna start with, and then I will alter them or adjust if needed as I paint. There are many variables to consider when painting lips. There are so many lighting variations, skin tones, shapes and sizes. Everyone's lips are unique. I'm gonna show you 2 studies today. They are both from the same perspective. It's a front view of the lips, but I purposefully picked different ones so that I could show you more of a variety. However, the approach is gonna be very similar because all the lips have the same general structure and form that I've previously talked about. I'm starting with very light lines, outlines of the lips. They don't have to be exactly like on the sketches you saw before. It doesn't have to be a pretty drawing, because these lines are just helpful guidelines. They will be all covered by paint, so it doesn't matter if they are a bit too sloppy or too figurative. In the beginning, we are establishing main forms and colors. I usually paint from dark to light, which means I begin with the darker colors and then step by step progress through the midtones to the light colors. However, sometimes I may go back and forth. I'm not so strict about following this technique. Well, it's a messy stage now. It'll look a lot better in a moment when it'll start to look more like lips. Here we go, that's better. In my view, there are only a couple of things you need to know or consider when painting lips. At first, you need to understand the form and structure of the lips, and secondly, how the light bounces and reflects from the surface. As in this example, light is coming from the top right, therefore the lower lip would be more lit than the upper one. Then you can see how the light reflects from the bottom of the top lip. Can you see that warm reflection? Same happens with the lower lip, it picks up some light on the bottom. Lastly, we need to place the highlights properly. They are usually much more subtle than that, but I was going for the lip gloss effect here. All these things depend on the lighting conditions and other factors, and it can be different in each particular case. Here is finished study number 1. Let's move on to the next one. Try to paint in more of a smooth and subtle way. Try not to exaggerate or over-define things. It's a very common mistake. When I'm not sure if I'm over-defining things or not, I stop and compare the painting with the reference picture and ask myself, am I exaggerating things? Do I make details stand out more than they are on the reference picture, or in real life for that matter? Okay, the second study is pretty much done. By the way, I'm going to launch a Patreon page in October. I thought I'd mention it for those who were interested. I get requests from people to post more slowed down versions of my painting videos and show more behind the scenes stuff, so Patreon will be the place where I'll share this type of things. Alright guys, here are the two finished paintings. I really hope this tutorial was helpful. Thank you all so much for watching, and that's all for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.